Hi everybody, it's Michelle Gilmartin here with the A1 Vacuum and Sewing in Reno. And today we are doing the November digital dealer project, and it's called the Christmas Joy Lace Gift Stocking. So I'm going to go over what's in your kit if you got your kit from A1 Vacuum and Sewing. And I'm also going to go over some of the supplies that you might find helpful while doing this project. So the video today, I'm going to be doing the 6x10 project. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing the 6x10 or the 5x7 in class because of the high stitch count. It takes a while to stitch. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the larger one for the sample in class. We may do the larger one in class. We haven't decided yet. And then also the glide thread. So I know all of you are always wanting to know the colors that we use. So with the Kimberbell in this project, we're using in glide thread, we're using linen, cotton candy, pink, Christmas pine, ruby, and wildflower. So some of the things that are in your kit. Well, first, your directions are helpful if you have them. We have them printed out for me. And then you'll also need your USB with the design, or if you purchase the design as an individual design and you want to send it wirelessly, however you normally get the design to your machine, that's a good thing. And then you'll have some fabric. This will be for like the lining in the back. And you'll also have some SF101 to back those pieces. And you will have a piece of red glitter. I'm going to be using my 6x10 hoop today. And so as far as stabilizer, you have a piece of sticky wash away that will fit your 6x10 hoop. And then you also have a piece of wash away. And then that's it. Those are your kit pieces. All right, let me move some of this out of the way so we can go over some of the things you might find advantageous to have. All right, I have a selection of little snips and scissors. I'm actually working from home today, so I know where everything's at. I don't have to go look for it. I love these side hoppers for little snips. And I have a couple of different pairs of the little nippers, and anything else in the purple ones are the Fomori kit. And if you have never looked at one of these, all of these are so helpful with embroidery. Plus these tweezers are the bomb because they're really tiny. All right, so I'll move that out of the way. And I have my Martelli mat for pressing when I have to press that. And my favorite new iron. It's a little Tula pink one. What's changed about this iron is look at that. You can stand it up now. It also has a light. So if I turn the iron on, I get the light down on the mat there. If I turn it off, it turns off. Guess what? It has an on-off before I even set the temperature. And the steam's not too bad. Not too bad at all. And so I think it's a little bit better than my original Oliso mini iron, but I love this iron. I love the colors. I love the whole Tula pink theme. All right, so I'm going to set this back aside. And I'm going to pause for a moment and jump. Well, maybe while I'm here, I'll go ahead and hoop my stabilizer. So normally what I like, you can use whatever you like to score your stabilizer. I like to use a seam ripper as my sharp object for scoring, but if you have another favorite, you can grab that. As a matter of fact, I don't really know where my seam ripper is. It's here somewhere. After I told you I could find everything, right? Let's make it a little bigger. So the other thing that you can use is you can use a pin, a T-pin. You can use the tip of a pair of scissors. Just be careful you don't push all the way through. You might cut a hole in your stabilizer. That's not optimal. So let's see what else I can use in here. Well, I think I'll use these. Careful, careful. I usually make an X or thereabouts. Did I get? Oh, I didn't even get through it. Let's see. That should have worked. All right, so that's ready. I'm just going to set it up on the deck there on my machine. I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera while I move the ironing table here, and then I'll meet you at the machine. All right, I've brought up my design, and again, I'm doing the 6x10. I have my hoop ready to go. I have the other additional piece of stabilizer, the wash away, stuck to the top of it. You also are going to need to wind bobbins for all of the colors that you are. Come on, focus there. Focus, focus. There we go. You're going to need to wind some bobbins. I went ahead and wound full bobbins of the additional colors because I have to do the project again at work. But I would guess, looking at the project, that you might need about a half of a bobbin full for the reds and the greens, maybe a quarter of a bobbin for the light pink, and very little for the dark pink. But guess what? On the linen, I wound 2 bobbins. One of them is already in the machine. All right. I am sewing with an 80 microtex needle. I realized that the directions said a 70, but I really prefer the 80, especially with all the sticky stabilizers. So I'm going to go ahead and stay with my my 80. If you have a 7511 anti-glue, that might work, or an 80 anti-glue, that would be all right as well. So we're going to begin by looking at what we're going to be doing first. I think we're going to be doing some pressing first. Let's see. Yep. So for our press, we're going to peel the plastic off. Let me get my iron warmed up. We're going to peel the plastic coating off of the top of the glitter vinyl. And then we're going to take our green fabric over to the ironing table, and we're going to do this press on it. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the camera so I can swing it over to that table. I do like to add a little best press. Before I start. And I don't know, is there a right or a wrong side to this fabric? I can't tell. I have to look at it a little closer, I guess. I don't really see a difference, so I'm just going to go with this side as being the wrong side. Now you might be able to get 2 stockings out of it. I don't know. Doesn't look like you need the whole piece. Well, maybe I'll do that. Start over here. Now you won't get 2, but you will have some extra. Just checking if there's any bubbles there. Sometimes I do get a little bit of, like maybe right in the center I missed a spot and there'll be a bubble. All right, let me turn it over and check the other side. We'll give that a good press as well. Nothing like double fusing it, right? Get it from both sides. All right, I'm going to set these aside and we'll get to stitching. All right, so we're going to get started with the first step. I've already done, if you're following along on the directions, page 6, 4, 5, and 6 I've already done. So page 7 I've already done, actually 2 because the design is there. So, and my bobbin thread is the, note that be sure your bobbin thread is full before stitching because this is going to be the color you're going to sew the most of. So I actually wound 2 bobbins, change, it already matches, and stitch the stocking lace mesh directly onto the stabilizer. So if you look at your stitch count, or if you look at your screen, if you have a timer on it, the white's gonna sew for a long time. It's white, but it's all the cream color. So I've got my bobbin on, and I'm just gonna go ahead and thread. I'm going to go ahead and stitch for just a little bit to get started, and then I'm going to pause the video until it is done stitching this first section. Otherwise, man, there's a lot of the needle going up and down with this one. That might be kind of boring to watch later. All right. Selecting embroidery. And here we go. 21 minutes on my machine. Let's see what my speed is set to. Oh, I'm at 700 stitches a minute. I'm going to go ahead and take it up to 8. Freestanding lace, sometimes I sew it a little bit slower. You don't have to, but they wouldn't give you the speed if you couldn't use it. So, but I kind of like to make sure. Again, I'm using an 80 Microtex Chrome, and I have a linen bobbin in the bottom of the machine. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause. Get a little bit of shake going on the table here. And then I will be back when this section has finished sewing. So you should be, if you're counting down the color stops on your machine, you're on color stop number 1. If you're counting down in the book, you're on page 6, step 1. I'll be back when step 1 completes. All right, I finished sewing the first one. Number 2 is the snowflakes. It's step number 9, color stop number 2. They are the same color. So all it does is stop for you to let you know it's going to do something different, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and just press go. And again, this one sews for 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and let it stitch for a little bit. And then I'll go ahead and turn the camera off. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and pause it. Again, we're doing color stop number 2. If you're following along in the direction guide, we are on page 6 and we are sewing out step 9. Just needs to stitch, so I'll see you in a few minutes. Alright, I'm popping in because I have already reached my my maximum on the bobbin. It's telling me, giving me a message that the bobbin thread is almost empty. So I think if you're doing the, I don't know, if you're doing the 6 by 10, I think maybe you might need 3 bobbins. I don't know, we'll see. But I'm just going to go ahead and change my bobbin out right now. So I'm at 17,806 stitches. All right, so my snowflakes have finished stitching. And I'm still stitching white. I'm stitching the top of the stocking right now. So it says stitch the cuff lace detail and the cuffs satin stitch outline. That is color stop number 3, step number 10, the bottom line on page 6. So we'll see if I make it all the way through this one, if it actually is going to need 3 bobbins or not, or 2.5 or something. I'm at 25,000, so I had 17, almost 18,000, so we'll see. It looks like probably would be a good idea if you're going to sew out the 6 by 10 to go ahead and fill 3 bobbins. Freestanding lace takes a lot of thread. And again, I'm going to let it run for just a couple minutes, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off for the next 13 minutes. Or thereabouts, depending on how fast your machine is running. And it stopped again. The bobbin's empty. I've still got a little bit left to go. I think I'm just going to wind a half a bobbin. So my my instructions are going to reflect 2.5 bobbins for just the linen. All right, it finally finished at 36,938 stitches for the 6 by 10 hoop. So I had to change my bobbin at 34 thousandths. So yeah, probably about 1.5 bobbins. Or 2.5 bobbins, sorry. The next thing is to change the bobbin thread to match the top thread, and we'll be sewing the green for step 11. So I'm going to take this off, slide it over here. A little less than half, maybe. And let me grab my green. I'm confident I will not run out of this. A second to get my hands in there. My cutter keeps popping up. It needs Girly needs an in-the-store spa day. All right, there. Finally got that back on. All right, got the green in my bobbin. That's our next color stop. That one's only going to sew for about 4 minutes. All right, we're on our next color change, which is actually the placement stitch for our little piece of sparkle vinyl. It's for the berries. So for me, I'll be using Wildflower in the glide. That's the color I've chosen. So it's the darker of the two reds. And again, I'm doing a bobbin change. Okay, so that's the darker of the two reds that I'm using is Wildflower and Glide. And then I'm going to need to have my little piece of red sparkle vinyl handy. We are doing color stop number 5. It's step number 12 at the bottom of page 6. I'm flipping the page over. All right, so you can tape this down if you want. This is a really small piece of vinyl, so I think I'm just going to actually just hold it in place. All right, so our next step is to trim the glitter as desired. Remove the hoop from the machine using a pressing cloth. Press the glitter for 15 to 20 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna switch the camera over to the ironing station. So give me a second. All right, I was trying to decide what scissors to use, but you know what? This is so small, I'm actually going to use nippers because I think they'll work just fine in there. And anything else seems a little big. So my iron is over there heating up. And I'm just going to trim the close to, but not through. You know, I know that they give us the vinyl a little bit bigger than what we need. Actually, it's quite a bit bigger usually than what we need. But, and I know that some of you try to get a second project out of it. But man, when their pieces are small like this, it's really hard to do a good job if you don't have any vinyl to hang on to while you're trimming. Just a public service announcement. That maybe it's not worth it. At least to me, it usually isn't. This is a nice going, these little nippers work pretty well going into those curves, into those points. All right, looks good to me. Okay, that one's done, and it looks like we have another color change. Let's take a peek. So yes, we are done with this. So now we're gonna select to sew out the word joy. Actually, no, it's not a color change. It's the same color. So I'll be leaving that same wildflower color in. Let me switch now to the machine. Oh, press it for 15 to 20 seconds. Almost forgot. Let me grab a press cloth. All right, this is a great job for a goddess pressing sheet, but the heat press was right there, and so I'm going to use this piece of butcher paper and hold for 10 to 20 seconds. Oh, 15 to 20. All right. Beginning color stop number 7, which is step number 16 on page 7. And it's the same darker red color. So we're just going to go. And I will just let this one run. right. Our next color is the pink. And let's see. I think it's the light pink because it doesn't look like the dot. So I'm going to take my hoop off and I'm going to change out my bobbin. Oh no, it looks like the darker pink is first. Let me see. I always have to look at the dot and the triangle. The dot is the dark pink, so it's going to be the dark pink first. We are on step 17, color stop number 8. And here we go. Now this one doesn't take too long. It says only 1 minute, but I bet it takes longer than just 1 minute. Oops. Oh, that was terrible. I forgot to change the top thread. Hang on, I gotta pull a few stitches out here. I put the bobbin in and didn't put the thread, the right thread on. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, all picked out. Let's go back to the beginning of that color and let's try it again. Oh, that's better. All right, it was only about a minute, I guess. Now we're going to go ahead and sew the lighter color of pink. Don't forget to change out your bobbin. Oh, and don't forget to change out the top thread. Apparently I have to remind myself of that as well. All right, changing out top thread so I don't make the same boo-boo again. All right, so the next color is going to be color stop number 10, but we're going to sew color stop number 10 and color stop number 11 with the same thread. So step number 19 is to change the bobbin to, for me, is going to be the ruby, the lighter of the two reds that I had. And that's also the same color that we'll sew the berries with. So yeah, a lot of these you probably wouldn't have needed very much because I certainly didn't use very much. But I do, I do have to do it again in the store for the events for the day of. So it's still going to be enough, or more than enough actually, but all right. Now remember though, we still have the berries fill and it's the same color. So go ahead and press go. This one's going to run for about 2 minutes or thereabouts. I'm going to go ahead and pause and I'll come back when it's done. Okay. Our next step is to remove the hoop, but don't take the project out of the hoop, and turn the hoop to the back and carefully trim the jump stitches and the tails. Let's see what we got here. Well, it's not too bad, but there's a few of them. So let's go ahead and trim those. Seems more the berries than anything else, right? Although I don't think we're going to see them anyway because we're going to put a lining on it here. Let me dump this over the trash can. All right. Place the back fabric right side down. So I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, I think it does actually fit that way. I'm going to go ahead and take this one. And we're going to change colors of thread too. We're going to go back to this, the beige color or the linen color. Right side down, covering the project, and tape in place. So I'm going to move to the table for a minute because I have a little trick that I use all the time to make it easier for me to center whatever I am doing. When I have to place something equally over something else, I like to be able to make sure that if I can't see it completely, that I can at least see that it's going to be covered. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I like it to actually be covered. So what I normally will do is, this has to go like this, right? I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to match those sides of it to the sides here. And if you want to go, if you feel like you need to go top to bottom, you can go that way too. But the backing actually kind of, or lining, whatever this is, actually kind of covers the whole stocking. So I'm just going to lift that part up, and I can see that I have plenty. You can also do one of these and make sure that you have a lot. But I tend to use the hoop, the markings on the hoop, to let me know that I've got that in there correctly and that I'm not going to be short sheeting myself anywhere. Then I'm just going to take a little tape and tape this down. I'm just using the Kimberbell paper tape. And I love this dispenser. I'll tell you what, having a weighted dispenser for tape, who would have thought? It might be a little bit like having heated seats. Nobody would have ever thought of putting heated seats, but now you're like, I love them. But the weighted tape dispenser really allows you to work the tape dispenser with one hand if you have to. All right, so I have the linen thread. It says turn the hoop to the front, place the back fabric right size down, covering the project tape in place. Change the bobbin thread to match the top thread and stitch the back tack down line. So I'm gonna do that in linen. If you had a different color choice in mind, that's okay too. Kind of looks like you might have just a touch of actual sewing with the sewing machine to close a hole when you turn this inside out. All right, here we go. So now we are going to take our hoop. We're going to take our hoop off of the machine one more time. Maybe. Or is it going to go on the back or on the front? Let's see. Yes, we're going to place the lining fabric right side down, covering the back of the hoop. All right. So let's do that. I am going to do the same thing because I can see here where my halves are, the sides where my hoop is. All right, so this is the way it goes. I'm going to fold it, it's right sides together, wrong sides together because it's right side down. And that's about there's the middle. Flop it up. And then I am going to double check that I have plenty of space over here. What do I have going over here? Oh, I can go this way just a little bit. Yep. So when you tape onto the back of the hoop, just be careful. Don't press hard. You can press hard once you turn the hoop over onto a flat surface. Because you do want to make sure that it's not going to roll, the tape's not going to roll back and stick to the bed of the machine. All right, so now that I've got that on there, I'm going to turn this on the machine, and I will kind of press down and make sure that that tape that I put on stays. All right, this is going to be our last go round. Color stop number 13 of 13. It's going to leave a little hole in the side of the ornamental stocking for us to actually turn it. And then the instructions are for you to hand stitch the lining closed. You can do that. And if it were a bigger stocking and not just like a hanging, maybe ornament stocking, I might do that. But you can also use steam-a-seam. You can also use some Misty Fuse on it. I mean, I think you can just fuse it closed. We're going to see. All right, I'm going to move to a flat surface, and I'll be right back. We're done sewing. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is get it out of the hoop. And, I really hate dragging stabilizer around with me, so I'm going to trim some of that stabilizer away before I even start cutting my line at 1/4 of an inch, because I just don't want to drag it all. It's much easier to trim something if you don't have a giant piece of stabilizer. I know it's cutting twice, but I'm okay with it. I just don't like to drag everything around with me. Much easier to handle. All right. All right, so I'm going to, if you look at step 26, remove the project from the hoop, remove the tape, trim both layers of fabric and stabilizer 1/4 of an inch away from the final outline on both sides of the project. So I'm going to go ahead and actually, I don't like those scissors for that. Let me go get some better ones. I like these Karen K. Buckley ones. They have a kind of a cushion for your hand. And very sharp scissors. All right, so I'm going to trim this from this side because I want to leave just a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, only on this side though, because I want to be able to turn it. First of all, I am going to trim the stabilizer. So I guess this is for me, I'm going to do it more like layers. I want to get the stabilizer out of there. but I don't care if there's still fabric there. And I'm just going to just leave a little extra on the side that has got the hole for turning. But only on the side that is the lining. The other side I'll cut down. All right, moving on. We also need to notch anywhere there's a curve. So like there's a curve here and there's a curve all the way around the toe. You can do that if you want to. But I'm going to tell you, you'll never get it better than if you actually do it with pinking shears. You get a nice curve. So that's what I'm going to do next. Don't go through the stitching line. Actually, here I'm going to go ahead and notch it. You need some. You're going to clip all the way to the stitching, but not through it. And probably 1 or 2 on either side, just so that the fabric can relax when you turn it. It's always good to do this like over a trash can. Or maybe, at least over something that can catch it besides your floor. All right, then the last thing I'm going to do is clip my corners. Right to, but not through the stitching line. Don't cut any of your stitching lines so that it can turn. All right, then I'm going to bring the whole thing through this hole that was left behind. Now, what I found sometimes is good for this is actually using like a pair of hemostats, because the lace is thick. I mean, it's a lot of thread pounded in there. Once you get it started, it goes okay. Just slow. You just go slow. I'm going to go grab some hemostats. I like those for turning. Actually, I didn't really need them. I can work with this. And you're like, what the heck? I'm looking at the wrong side. It's okay. It's supposed to look that way. This is how we're going to close the lining. And then we're going to make an opening at the top by putting a little water there to dissolve the stabilizer. And we're going to turn it right side out so that you have lining behind your freestanding lace and you have lining on the back and you're looking at the front side of the stocking. But right now you are correct. You're looking at the back side. So I have my iron heating up over here because I'm going to actually use the steam-a-seam method. God, I hate doing hand stitching. I only do it if it's absolutely necessary. All right, so I'm just going to give this kind of a press. No, I'm not using any steam, you guys. Come on. If you steam it, you're not going to be happy. Because your stabilizer is going to start to melt. And it's going to be a gooey mess. Okay, so see, you could be whip stitching there if you want to do the whip stitch method. If you want to do this, if you want to do the steam-a-seam method, so you've got like a little line there in your embroidery. Let's press it down on that line so it kind of holds for you. And then you can just, remember I left a little bit extra over here on the lining side. This is why. All right, I'm just going to take a little bit of steam-a-seam. This is going to be the steam-a-seam method. Let me see this. All right, I changed my mind about the steam-a-seam because I'm not sure. It's freestanding lace, it's not fabric, so I'm not sure that the steam-a-seam won't end up showing on the right side, which would be horrible. So I went ahead and got a needle and I'm going to go ahead and hand stitch. It's only a little hole. And then the last step is going to be to wet the top just a little bit so that you can turn it to the right side so that you're looking at the pretty stocking that you just made. All right, so I'm going to bury the tail in the lining. Grab a little there. And then grab a little here. Kind of a small hole, so I'm not worried too much about it. But I always hate it when I have to hand stitch. It's like not my favorite thing in the world to do. Especially through all this thread. Okay, it's time for hemostats. As I suspected, the freestanding lace is so thick that it's really hard to pull the needle through it. The lining isn't a problem, but the lace part of the stocking is kind of hard to pull the needle through. Am I there yet? I think I'm close enough. I don't think there's much of a hole there. And it'll be on the inside, so you won't see it anyway. All right. Okay. So the next step is to wet this a little bit across the top so that you can get an opening going. I'm going to go get some water. All right. I'm going to take a Q-tip and just get the top up here wet so that I can open it up. There we go. And now we get to actually turn it right side out. And it won't be nearly as hard as it was to get it through the other, because this is a bigger hole. And then I have an OESD point and press here to kind of press, push some of the seams out and get a little bit better shape to it. The only thing I don't recommend that you do is use something pointy in there, because I just know what's going to happen is you're going to end up poking through the freestanding lace. Why do I know this? Because I've done it before many times. You just kind of grab what's handy, right? See, much easier than the other way. Okay, so I like to use the big end of it and just kind of move those seams out. Now, I don't have any intention of washing mine. I think I might put a little bit more. Let's see, let's get a little bit more water here in the corner so I can pull this kind of even. There we go. If you wanted to have more of a sheer look to your freestanding lace, you could. The directions call for you to soak it in some cool water. Still got my iron on. That's going to happen next. But I just use the large ball and just follow the seam lines there. So this is the part that you'd really be able to tell, even more so than the curve here, if you hadn't clipped well enough. And then I'm going to give it some more. And then I'm going to give it a final press. This is the cutest little stocking. It really is. All right. Set this aside. I'm going to press from the back first. Remember, no steam. I know you're tempted. I know I am. But it's just going to make a gooey mess out of your stabilizer. You'd be better off just soaking the stabilizer away first, and then once it's almost gone, then you'd be able to use a little steam on it. Oh my gosh, look how cute that is. It's adorable. So there it is. There's your Christmas stocking. It's even the 6x10 hoop is just not that big, but it's just a great little size. What a fun project. Great for putting little candies in, little cookies in. Oh, and everybody loves those little gift cards, or should I say those big gift cards in stockings like this. So I hope you enjoyed this.